other fundamental flaw is that the tax code and regulations are extremely complicated. That's why you have to pay a lawyer $300 an hour, and he probably doesn't fully understand them. If you look at the tax code that Congress passes, it's about 2 volumes, maybe 600 or 700 pages. If you look at the IRS regulations that implement the 2 volume tax code, you'd be looking at about a 10 volume work. And if you're really ambitious and you want to look at the Idiot Guide for Tax Attorneys, which has all the court cases, all the communications from the IRS, everything you could probably think of that's tax related, that's probably 20 or 30 pages, or 20 or 30 volumes and thousands of pages. So, no, you're not going to get a quick answer from anybody about a tax question unless it's extremely simple.
Which is just amazing. I do believe we would all be better off if it was streamlined and simplified so that, I think a lot of people are like me. I wouldn't mind paying my fair share, but I don't want to pay my fair share plus somebody else's fair share just because,
that's understandable.
they don't pay because they know more people in power than I do or something.
Mm-hmm.
But
I'm sorry.
But I think that it would be simple to streamline it. But you've been there. What do you think?
Well, streamlining the system as it is virtually impossible because you have a powerful tax lobby that wants to make it as complicated as possible. And the tax code was simplified in 1986 on a bipartisan basis, and the simplification lasted for a couple of years. Then people started adding things to it, making exceptions, and we got back to where we are. I become a believer in a national sales tax, just to get rid of the IRS, and we pay a national sales tax to finance the government. If we had a national sales tax of 16%, it would be revenue neutral. That means we wouldn't have to cut back on tax loopholes for the wealthy or cut back on welfare of any sort for the poor. Everything would be as is, and the government would get just as much money. But you wouldn't be bullied. You go on and you buy a car and you pay, say, $800 in sales tax. You don't drive home, and then a few days later you get a bill that says, "Oh, we're sorry. By the way, you actually owe $8,000. Please pay within 30 days, or there will be a 20% penalty." With a national sales tax, the transaction is done immediately, and it's over with, and there's no bullying. And it actually has good economic advantages because it means that investment income and salaries are tax-free. So that's going to encourage more investment, and it's going to encourage more work because people will make more, keep more of their money when they're working, and that will drive economic growth and jobs. And it will, of course, get rid of the complication of the current tax system.
That sounds kind of good. Now, would that also eliminate the Social Security and Medicare tax on your payroll, or is that totally separate from your calculation?
They're supposed to be separate because the people that actually benefit from it, the elderly, they're the ones that pay into for that particular purpose.
Right.
It could be restructured as a sales tax. Just increase the sales tax maybe another 3%, and then get rid of Social Security taxes, Medicare taxes, what have you.
Well, I'm telling you, I think there are a lot of employers that employ between 5 and 50 employees that would be dancing in the street if they didn't have to do quarterlies and send in money and collect money from people and keep track. And that's a lot of paperwork burden. It's a lot of money burden. It's a fiduciary burden. It's just a lot of time and money to spend that takes away from their purpose of running a business, and it impacts the bottom line, something awful. And as you said, there are a lot of times when that burden alone will keep them from hiring more people because,
right. Mm-hmm.
The overhead involved in adding employees is so burdensome that oftentimes employees don't get added when they're desperately needed just because you just can't justify how much time and money it's going to cost to bring them on board. And that keeps us from growing. And you don't have to do all that garbage when you offsource or outsource or whatever it's called when you send all your stuff overseas to get it done.
Yeah. It's so complicated that it's very easy to make mistakes. And if you make a mistake, whether it's intentional or unintended, you're subject to fines and, in extreme cases, to prosecution. So there's always at the back of your mind that if you make a mistake, you might get in trouble. Well, a sales tax removes that danger. You know immediately that you have to pay 16% of what it's added to the cost of the item. You pay your 16%, and then you forget about it. You don't have to keep receipts for tax purposes. It's a done deal.
Okay, so what will all the accountants in the U.S. do to make a living now if we do that?
Very good question.
Somebody somewhere is going to find a flaw in this plan, and I think we just found it.
Well, actually, it happened back in 1986. Ronald Reagan proposed the 1986 Tax Reform Act, and it simplified taxes. It brought only 3 or 4 tax brackets instead of 5 or 10, and everybody was in favor of it. It was bipartisan. It passed Congress with overwhelming bipartisan majorities. Economists and business people were happy with it. The only person I heard say anything negative about it was the president of H&R Block, and he was upset. So he said he was upset because we should have it arranged so that poorer people don't have to pay as much tax as the rich people. We should have a good degree of income distribution. Well, as a matter of fact, the tax system has never been a progressive system. The wealthy are able to hire lawyers and representatives and preparers that know all the ins and outs. Yeah. And so Warren Buffett, the famous hedge fund manager, he thought it was outrageous that he paid a lower tax rate than his secretary. And that's the way it works now.
Isn't that amazing? Yep. All right. So in the last couple minutes or so that we've got left, tell us where people can get your book. And again, it's called Agents of Deceit. It is such a good book. The true story of life inside today's chaotic and dysfunctional IRS. Now, where can they get the book? And if they want to reach out to you, are you open to that?
Yeah, I've got a Twitter account, IRS Whistle.
Okay.
The book is, you can order it from Amazon, and you can order it as Kindle, and it's available as a special order from Barnes & Noble.
Okay.
And if you order it from, if you're a Prime member and you order it from Amazon, you can get it in 2 days. And Kindle is even faster.
Awesome. Awesome. And then your agent gave us a website called agentsofdeceit.com. Is that right?
Right. Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. Totally awesome. It is so cool. It is a good book, and it's good to know that sometimes what you're feeling about the IRS, you're not crazy. You really are feeling it. And the
Right.
thing that the book will give you when you read it are some tips on how to be just a little bit more prepared, a little bit more savvy, and a little bit less frightened of being audited and keep your wits together if you want to call it that. So thank you so much for being on our show. It has been
All
a
right.
pleasure to have you here.
Yeah, I really enjoyed talking to you,
Thank you.
Rhonda.
All right.
You,
Now,
you you seem to be a little bit more knowledgeable than the average taxpayer.
I hope so. I think I learned that the hard way, though. All
Yeah.
right, everybody, until next time, you know what I'm going to say before I say it, and that is be grateful, and you will anticipate getting good things. Until next time, I'm Rhonda Cobb, the Money Coach. Thank you for being our listener. We love you.